Please join me in welcoming our next speaker, State Representative Matt Lundy.
I like the short introductions. You know, normally you get into where somebody went to school and all this other stuff. So, thanks so much. Thanks for coming out this evening. Very much appreciate it. What I thought I would do is kind of give you an overview as to where some things are going in the state, because obviously with the way the economy is, everybody's very concerned about what's being done to help turn things around, and we got some new numbers in Columbus as to what we're looking at for the overall package. Let me start first, though, by saying that as somebody who used to work in economic development with the city of Elyria, that for those who work in economic development, whether it's the mayor or Steve or John working on projects, there's so many more factors outside of your control than are within your control. You know, it can be everything down to somebody not being able to get out of a previous lease that they're in, the financing not coming together, you know, even the height of the ceiling not being high enough, you know, because you've got to put a crane in there or whatever it may be needed. So, you know, you get really excited when you are talking to folks, trying to bring folks in, but there are just so many components that really have to come together to make the deal happen. But I'm very pleased with, you know, what we're doing here in the county. I think with Team Lorain County, especially, that everybody is very much working so well together that, as you pointed out, somebody can call you and say we're going to be there in 2 hours, and you'll be able to assemble some people to make that possible. The big concern is obviously right now with the bailout initiative. Well, not just the bailout initiative, I should call it the recovery initiative, to try to help turn around the local economy. And if any time you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. But I just want to let you know where we stand right now, because I think it's important for you to know. Every single day you already see it. You know, you open the newspapers and you realize that the cities don't have the revenue they used to have, the county doesn't have the revenue it used to have, and the state doesn't have the revenue that it used to have either. So we are going to have to continue to look for innovative ways. I often tell people that from all the numbers we're seeing, the president has said that it's going to get worse before it gets better. That's a true statement. Our projections are showing, you know, unemployment right now around 8%, that probably by fourth quarter will be upwards of 10% or better, just here in Ohio alone. So, and certainly all the revenue numbers are showing that things are looking worse, and will probably be worse before they get better. But, you know, now's not the time to drown in our sorrows. Now's not the time to point the finger of blame. I mean, we're in this boat. We just got to figure out how to put it in the right direction and to accomplish what we need to do. But it's important for you to have some framework, because the reality is that obviously if the federal government is suffering and the state government is suffering, you know, it all trickles down to the local government as well too, and just the economy in general. But just so you're aware of some of the projections now that are coming out of Washington and also out of the governor's office, we're hoping that this package that is being presented to us here in Ohio, the recovery package, will help to create about 133,000 jobs for Ohio in the next 2 years. That's a number that's being used by the administration. Also, it's important for you to know that we actually did receive more dollars than what we were originally anticipating. It was interesting because one day everybody was upset because it looked like we were going to get less than what we were anticipating. Then everybody was happier because it looked like we were actually going to get a little bit more than what we were anticipating. You know, the total amount of money that's probably going to be funneled to Ohio is going to be close to $8.2 billion. Just to give you some idea as to how some of that is actually going to break down, first of all, let me point out it's important that about $100 million more will be coming in for Medicaid, and I'll reference that a little bit more later. But $4.1 million more for unemployment compensation. We all know that we actually had to go and borrow money because the unemployment compensation fund wasn't doing well. But some of the breakdowns look like this. About $971 million will be for highway and bridge projects. $203 million for transit capital projects, $9 million for rail modernization. Other infrastructure will include a Clean Water State Revolving Fund. That'll be about $224 million, and then $58 million for actually the drinking water program. So those are designed so that we'll actually be able to invest money into the infrastructure in Ohio. Obviously, a lot of that infrastructure is found right here in the local communities. Other areas that will be receiving funding, or basically how the money is going to be appropriated, will be about $23 million for technology in schools, and $146 million, this is a very important figure, $146 million will actually be for workforce investment, which obviously includes training and employment services for those who are dislocated, and counseling activities as well. And then there's other dollars that are available, and certainly people can debate whether there's any merit to it or not, such as home weatherization assistance programs, but that's about $277 million for that initiative alone. I just wanted to bring you up to date on these numbers, because as it relates to how we're able to help local government, it's important for you to know that often the conversation in Columbus is that what we do is we educate, we medicate, and we incarcerate. And by the time you roll through those three topics, those three categories, that's about 88% of the budget. And then maybe another 2-3% to cover servicing some loan debt. And you're left with about 9 or 10% that you can actually work with. So it's important for you to know that the large portion of that is pretty much already spoken for. For the longest time, and I believe I'm a new legislator, so quite candidly, I think that local government was put a little bit behind the 8 ball because we weren't meeting our obligation at the state level with local government funding. A lot of that had been flatlined probably for since about 2000 or 1999, and we just recently started making sure that local government funds were available. But it's important for you to know that even that percentage of local government funds is based upon what revenue we're bringing in as well too. So if we're not bringing in the revenue, then obviously you're not seeing the money that maybe you would have seen the previous year if more revenue was coming in. And just to give you an idea on revenue as well too, about 18% less revenue came in January. And it looks like for fiscal year 2009, about 7% less is going to be coming in for the first 7 months compared to the last same cycle of the previous fiscal year. We run on 2-year cycles. This budget cycle will end at the end of June. So basically we're already about 7 months into that, 6 months into that. But that is off by 7%. January alone was off by 18%. So when you're counting on that revenue and you see less revenue coming in, obviously it makes it a little bit more difficult. Now, when we talk about economic development, we often talk about providing tax breaks, and we've continued to provide tax breaks. Sometimes in Columbus they're referred to as tax expenditures, because those are